Are you as frustrated as I am that males, boys and men, are being allowed to take away awards and opportunities from girls and women in sports? That girls are being sidelined in their own sports and put in harm's way? And that our own federal government is pushing this? When our society ignores biological reality, it's women and girls who suffer. Thankfully, my friends at Alliance Defending Freedom are standing for truth and challenging this destructive agenda in courts and legislatures nationwide. But they need your help. Join with ADF and be a champion for freedom. For just $19 a month, you can stand for women and girls and reality. Visit joinadf.com/B and pledge your monthly gift of $19 or more to ADF. That's just 63 cents a day to help protect women in sports from radical gender ideology. Go to joinadf.com/B and stand up for freedom with your monthly gift today.
The Babylon Bee Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome to the Babylon Bee Podcast, the weekly. This is what we're doing. Welcome back. This is a lot of fun to have
The weekly, which happens a few times every month or so.
every few months.
Yeah.
It's really good to be here with everybody. Jarret Lemaster here. This is
Adam Yenser.
and
Chandler Juliet.
and
Bond, James Bond.
hey, John.
We're
Yeah,
honored
that's,
we're honored to have
Honored.
him.
that's very cool to
I've
have
let
you.
myself go a little bit. I'm retired.
This is me, but let myself go. We would love it if you guys would become subscribers. If you're not already, please become a subscriber. Go on our website at babylonbee.com and become a subscriber. You know, choose the subscription that's right for you. Yeah. And if
The
you
most expensive one.
if you're already a subscriber, get a premium subscription.
That's the
if
one
you're
that's right
already a
for you.
premium subscriber, get a custom subscription and give us $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
So that goes out to you.
And this is
All you.
for my father-in-law. Subscribing to the newsletter is not subscribing to the website.
Yeah.
You need to subscribe to the website.
Also,
Yeah, and
subscribing to YouTube
yeah.
is not. Yeah.
It's a separate subscription. If you're not giving us money, you're not subscribed.
Exactly.
right.
You're not supporting unwoke comedy.
Yes.
You're just watching it. Okay.
If your credit card company doesn't call you and say, "Did you approve this
Yeah.
purchase?"
So you bunch of parasites out there, why don't you start, participating?
Exactly.
What do you think?
I think we did a great job selling the subscription.
I think that everyone who watched this just signed up. So
Yes.
good job, guys.
Sign up now. We need more subscriptions, honestly. We're doing some cool stuff that we can't really tell you about right now, but you're going to like it. And so we're very excited. Since you're going to like it, you should already participate with it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Why can't we tell them about it?
We've
Well,
been
it's top
informed not
secret.
to.
Oh, you're right.
It's top secret. We have NDAs.
We would all love to tell you, but
I
we've been
didn't. I
told-
didn't sign
Yeah.
an NDA.
And
It's
tell
not
them.
my decision. It's not my decision.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so what's going on with everybody's lives? How are you guys doing?
Everything's pretty good.
We need to catch
Good.
everybody up on what's happening.
My sister just got married.
Oh, that's cool.
nice.
Yep, I was bridesmaid. It was a beautiful wedding.
Where was the wedding?
It was in Chattanooga,
Oh,
Tennessee.
nice. Beautiful area.
Yeah, yeah. It was really cool. And yeah, beautiful sacrament. She's just elated and just feeling really good. And I'm really, really happy. My
You were a
parents are happy.
bridesmaid, but not the maid of honor?
Did you go to the,
No,
Did you go to the Chattanooga Choo Choo, the little mall they have there?
I did see it.
You
I
see the
drove
Comedy
by. it.
Catch?
No.
There's a comedy club in there called the Comedy Catch.
No,
Yeah.
no, I drove by the
A
Choo
little
Choo.
restaurant down the street called Pickles Bar. Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
good
there was a
spots
cool little strip there. Yeah,
I
it
used
was
to know
really
a guy
fun.
from Chattanooga, and I used to love the way he said Chattanooga. Chattanooga is my favorite word you can say in that southern accent because it's like he said Chattanooga, Chattanooga. Oh, it's
Yeah,
like-
two
Gotta be
syllables.
careful. Not to,
Chattanooga.
Careful.
Say you watch your mouth.
you can't
Yeah.
say it with the hard R.
I get what you're saying now. I get what you're saying. How about you guys, Travis? What's going on with you, man?
I've been working here at the
How's
Bee.
the recovery? How's the recovery?
Oh, it's been okay. I don't know. I have an NDA. I can't talk about it. So,
It was
but
a
it's
James Bond training injury,
fine.
right?
It was a James
Sorry,
Bond
I
training
just
injury.
violated your NDA.
Travis does all his own stunts.
All of my own stunts. It's true.
It was
Well,
jumping off of a
in
bus.
that Lord of the Rings sketch, I did fall into the bushes or whatever.
That was
so-
such a fun one.
I'm so surprised that you didn't get what is it, poison
Murdered?
ivy?
Oh,
Poison
yeah.
Yeah, because I got poison ivy all over my
Oh, you
clothes.
did?
You
Yeah,
did?
on that one. Yeah.
Man,
so-
I got lucky too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just got lucky because there was also a part where Brandon made me like hide in the bushes and use the smoke machine, and he's like, "No, get in the bushes." I'm like, "Really? Okay." So I'm just like, it was weird.
And yeah, there were a lot of mosquitoes down there. I was covered up.
I
but
think my favorite part of that
was so
sketch,
fun.
well, there's two favorites. It's when you're up in my face and you're going, caca! And then the other part that was my favorite was when you had, you come out and you're like, oh, I'm in a bit of a pickle here.
Oh, no.
That's
My favorite part was when he said, I just came over the Misty Mountains cold. Woo.
So
Yeah,
cool.
be sure to check out the Lord of the Rings sketch.
Yeah, Rings of Power. It's a sneak peek.
It was
It's
one
got
of
a
my
way
favorite
better
sketches.
animated squirrel than the one that's in the new Snow White trailer from the Daily Wire.
We should make a best of Babylon Bee sketches playlist on YouTube. There are so many. My friend just discovered the brand. I was pulling up the YouTube, and I was like, you gotta watch this one. Oh, this one's really good. Oh, the Woke Zombies one was really good. And then my sister and her now husband were like, oh, that one's so good. So I was like, wow, we really made a lot of amazing sketches, and
Sketches.
yeah, really proud of the
A
work
lot of
we've
them
done.
written by Adam Yenser.
A
Some
lot of
the good
them.
ones. The good
Only
ones.
The good
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
That's right. And one we wrote
Yeah.
together called Trans Noir
Let's
that
not-
nobody saw. And
Don't look up trends.
nobody
I love
saw
that
it,
one.
but it's my favorite one.
It was a one-off thing. It was my only time in drag.
Now you're gonna want to see. Now everyone's
Yeah.
gonna want to see it. How about you, Adam? Were you doing any comedy? And
Oh
stuff,
yeah, I've
or-
been traveling all over the place for comedy. I did Colorado Springs Comedy Festival, which was awesome. I did a church show in Ohio.
Oh, cool.
2 weekends ago, I was in St. Augustine, Florida, for a friend's wedding.
Oh, I
And
love
then
St.
was
Augustine.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I like St. Augustine.
St. Augustine's a great author and place.
What were you gonna say?
And then when I was flying back, I connected in the Charlotte airport. And then on Twitter, I wish I remembered his name. I should look him up. But a Babylon Bee fan gave me a shout out on Twitter. He said, hey, I saw you sitting at a barbecue place in the Charlotte airport, but I didn't want to come bother you.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
you should have come said
That's
hi.
so cool.
Yeah.
That's super
really cool.
And then what else do I have? I'm going to be at the Comedy Cabana in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, November 1st to 4th. That's my next.
Oh, Myrtle Beach is cool.
Myrtle Beach is great. Yeah.
That's a great spot. I've been there.
Yeah.
And Palm Beach, right?
Oh, yes. We'll be at West Palm Beach for the roast of Brandon Strzok. He's the founder of the Walk Away
Is it
movement.
Straka?
I think it's pronounced Strzok. It's
Oh.
spelled Straka.
It was like Greek or something?
It's spelled Straka, but I think everybody I've heard says it
Oh.
Strzok.
Strzok.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Brandon Strzok.
founder of the Walk Away movement. He's a great guy. We've had on the podcast before. And he's having a 5th anniversary celebration for his Walk Away movement, which is encouraging former Democrats and sort of disenfranchised leftists to sort of leave that movement and join the sane people. And as part of this, he's having a roast of Brandon Strzok. So we're gonna be on that.
great
with
idea.
yeah.
Is Trump
That
going to
sounds
be
like you
there?
have a lot going on.
Trump is not going to be there. I believe Laura Trump is going to be there.
And Carrie Lake.
Yeah, there's a great lineup of people. So
Yeah.
we'll
cool
be
folks.
we'll be on the comedy show, the roast, but then there's some other speakers and events throughout the whole weekend. The weekend of November 11th in West Palm Beach. If you look it up on Brandon's Twitter page, is linked to it. It's called Walk-A-Con.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. It sounds like there's a lot going on. I'm personally, there's a lot going on with us too. Obviously.
Sorry, hold on. Jarret, what's going on with you?
Nice.
No, that's cool. I figured I would
So
just
sweet of
close
you
it
to
up.
ask.
Yeah,
I was
thank
just
you.
wondering the same thing.
Oh, I
Jarret, what's
appreciate
going
it.
on with you?
Thank you guys for including me.
well, we're out of time.
That was such a Kyle thing to do.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's good. No, we need more of that in our lives. But yeah, we basically there's a lot going on. Working here, slaving away on the new stuff we got going on. That's a lot of fun, and we did some really great sketches in the last couple weeks that I'm very excited about, and you guys are going to be wanting to see them. We might talk about them later on, so very, very excited. Actually, we could probably do that soon. But all that to say, doing that, I have a show coming up. I'm shooting a TV show next week. Angel Studios is putting out a new TV show called Homestead. If you haven't seen Homestead or the Torch online, you can go check that out. It stars Neil McDonough and a bunch of other people, but they haven't released who those people are, so I'm not allowed to say. But there's some really cool folks in the show, and it's kind of like a Walking Dead without the zombies.
So you can check it out on angelstudios.com.
What is Walking Dead without the zombies?
It's just a post-apocalypse.
It's Earth
the bomb.
today.
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
It's a very accurate read.
It's
of
like, do you
the
guys
whole
remember?
thing
Do
is
you guys remember the show Jericho?
Zombies.
Jericho.
I
I've
remember
heard of that
the-
show, but I never watched
So
it.
nuclear bombs hit all the major cities, and then they kind of live in this small town and kind of create a community. And
So
that's
it's more like
yeah.
Mad Max without the Australians.
It's like Mad Max, but with not. I guess people aren't wearing like shoulder pads with spikes and stuff. But yeah, that's I guess. And so my character ends up. I survive. I don't want to.
Is it like Land Before Time without the dinosaurs?
It's like
It's like The Office.
It's more like
without comedy or an office. And instead, it's at a different time and place.
Yeah.
And there's an apocalypse.
It's like
and
Yellow-
jokes are-
it's
other
like-
than that,
right.
it's exactly like The Office.
I do think it's a bit like Yellowstone without
the Yellowstones.
without Yellowstone or without the
Sand.
with a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
So
Yellowstone with
yeah, and
plus
that's
a bomb.
that's not a spoiler either because it happens within the first couple of seconds of the show. And so anyway, so we're gonna see what happens. My character is an interesting character, and I'm excited to play. He's a small guy, but small character.
Do you get? I don't know if you can say it. Do you get to play in a scene with Neil McDonough?
Actually, I think I can say that, and yeah.
Ooh,
So like all my scenes are with him, and then it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but
Sure.
I'm in the first 2 episodes, and I might possibly be in the rest of the season, the rest of the year. So who knows if
Cool.
they shoot it, yeah. So,
Yeah, filmmaking's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun to
Yeah.
be on the side of creative mind control. No, it's not mind
Yes.
control. But no, humor is such a powerful thing, and it's so
This
fun.
is not funny at all.
No.
This show is not funny.
Oh, never
No,
mind.
It's very
Well,
serious.
Yeah, I'm just really excited about what the bee's working on right now, and I wanted to throw it back to that. No, it's so exciting.
Well,
I want to tell them. That we're working on bigger stuff. We're trying
Oh,
to
of course,
have in
yeah.
a little longer form maybe, and I want to keep the fans on their toes because
yeah.
they're probably curious.
Yeah, they're excited. So yeah, speaking of which, speaking of being excited, are you guys reading anything good lately?
I'm
reading Save
always
the Cat.
excited when I read.
What?
I'm always excited when I read.
Are you?
Because reading
I sort of
is
believe that.
magic.
I would say leaders are readers.
Yeah.
I came up with that.
Did you? Really?
Somebody
I
write-
could hear Dan laughing.
Dan,
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Dan, can you write that down?
We were going to make
Write
a
that down.
motivational
Readers
poster.
are readers.
Leaders are
Jarret
readers?
Lemaster. Wow.
I use that to shame people into reading. Is what I do.
I just started Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. I
Shut
don't
up.
know what's more exciting and compelling than that.
Leaders are readers. He just wrote it down. He just said it right
What's
down.
your guys' reading schedule? Like, do you guys read at night or with coffee in the morning?
That's a great question. What are your reading schedules?
I wish I took more time during the day to read. Because I'm flying for stand-up a lot, I read for hours
when you're on the
flights.
plane.
That's when I get in the most.
So you don't
most
like
of my
do
reading.
computer work or anything like that?
No, I find it every now and then I try to do that, but I find it hard to work on a plane.
It's hard to focus.
Yeah, especially with like other people looking over your shoulder and
It's
stuff.
so true.
You know?
That part is true.
So yeah, I like to read on the plane. I just finished. What all did I finish? I finished Machiavelli's The Prince, which I had never read before. I
been a while for that one.
finished. Let me think. What else? But yeah, I just started Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan.
You're reading all the classics. You're kind of
Like
going through
I'm going through the
philosophical,
philosophical like history,
like the
yeah.
codex. That's very interesting. And I would say it's pretentious.
René Descartes is what I read before that.
So I would say it's pretentious, but I kind of know you, so I don't think it's pretentious.
it's a little pretentious. I don't
No,
mind.
I think a lot of people that do that kind of stuff are just trying to like be cool, but you're not.
I'm
You're actually
trying.
legitimately
I am
to.
trying to be pretentious.
Well, I was inspired
You
by
have to
you
try.
talking about all the philosophy and stuff
Yeah.
in the past, so I started reading Plato's The Republic.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is boring.
Yeah.
But it is interesting in a boring sort of way.
That's how every book I've read this year is. It's wow, this is boring, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Adam recommended Inside Comedy for me, and I ordered it, but I haven't started it yet. It's
a good one,
So
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I need to read more. When I do my fitness challenges, it require like the 75 hard challenge requires you read 10 pages a day, and it's so great because I'm like
anything?
of personal development books or whatever. But I think novels are fine. But it's pretty great because I always read more than the 10 pages, and I get through books so quickly. Without that container, I see the book, and I'll pack it with me, and I just won't pick it up. I don't have that like neural pathway carved out yet. So I guess nighttime is probably a good time. It makes you nice,
sort of
like,
just have
sleepy
to-
and relaxed.
You have to get into a habit. I think with reading, it's interesting. I've been reading in the same habit for something like 20 years. And it's like, it helps me go to sleep at night. It helps
So
me
you read at night.
and also it helps me wake up in the morning.
Oh, wow.
So in the morning, I read something devotional. So I'll read the scripture. And then I'm reading R.C. Sproul's. It's his commentary. It's his expositional commentaries. The first one I got from Dan Coates, by the way. It's really good. It's the one on John, the book of John. And now I'm reading the
And do you
one
read it on the John?
I do. Yeah, I have. You know,
I'm
I actually
reading
find
on
it.
John.
I find
Gross.
it difficult to read on the John. I read in the rocking chair that I made with my
okay.
own two hands, out of a wine barrel.
Nice.
I read on that every day.
That's a nice chair. I've seen that chair.
Yeah, that's right. I used a lot of brawn when I did it. Anyway, so yeah,
It's oddly awkward.
yeah.
I used a
it's
lot of
really
brawn.
strange. But yeah, no. So I'm reading the Romans commentary right now in the morning, and then at night I'm reading. I don't know. I'm reading some urban fantasy right now. But I get into Brandon Sanderson. I read a bunch of I just finished the new Pendergast novel. I don't know if you guys know those.
No.
Anyway,
Are Dan's recommendations turning you into a Calvinist?
that's the question, right? There are issues that I'm starting to lean that way. You know what I love about the Calvinists is that they take the scriptures so seriously.
Yeah.
And I think anyone that's Reformed, anyone that's Calvinist, they're taking the scripture really seriously. The people I know that are kind of on the Pentecostal side, which is kind of our background, holiness, Pentecostal, Wesleyan, they don't really take the scripture as seriously as the Calvinists do.
Now, what do you mean by that when you say as seriously? As in, like, they
Literally?
go by their feelings, or they read something and go, it doesn't mean that.
Well, for instance, I guess you'd say something like limited atonement or God's will, election. So so something about election. You would say as a Calvinist, you'd say God, according to Scripture, you read these Scriptures, He elects people, He doesn't elect other people. Because you're reading through the Scripture, you're going, I guess that's what it says. I don't know what else to say. And then with a like a Pentecostal or Wesleyan or something like that, they would look at it and say, well, God can't possibly be that way.
That can't be what that means.
Therefore I have to understand it a different way. And I'm not saying, and listen, you guys are going to correct me on this, I'm sure, but I don't know. I find R.C. Sproul very compelling because he's not a jerk.
I've never read his works,
Yeah.
but I've watched some of his lectures on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's a very interesting, well-informed guy.
Yeah, he was a philosopher
Yeah,
too. So you get a philosopher, and then you get the other guys. Like sometimes Calvinists can be kind of jerks, and so I've always been kind of turned off by.
Well, they were predestined to be, right?
Yeah,
That's the
right.
joke.
But a lot of times they're really funny jerks. So I like Calvinists. Anyway, all this to say, I don't know if I'm quite one yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I do really appreciate R.C. Sproul.
I think when I was first on the podcast at the old studio, when you guys asked me, you weren't there. It was. Oh my
Are you a
goodness.
Calvinist or Arminian?
I think it was Ethan and Kyle. Subscribe and you can see that interview. My first ever subscriber portion interview. Yeah, they asked me if I was a Calvinist or Arminian, and I said, I think when I was younger, I was actually a Calvinist. I thought, look, every single footstep is guided. Everything is, it's God's will. And it actually, I think, made life easier to just sort of feel like a more accepting of my reality. And I think I've changed a little bit since then. I think my beliefs have changed a little bit since then. It is harder, though, because it's like, well, is this my desire? Is this God's desire on my heart? There's a lot of philosophical
I'm
questions.
still a free will guy, but it has definitely, reading more Calvinist writings and reading more about that philosophy has influenced the way I see it more. I would say there are points of Calvinism that I agree with.
Yeah, it's not all black and
I would
white.
say that I think, I see a much more limited role for what we would. I believe we have free will, but I see it in a much more limited way than I used to.
I think the way that R.C. Sproul talks about it, I think is fascinating because he says you do have free will, but it's within this sinful context.
Well, that's sort of
So
what Martin
being a
Luther
slave
said, that
to
we
sin.
have
Right.
free will towards things below us. We don't have free will towards things
Yeah,
above
that's
us.
it. That's so it's not like it's free will in a vacuum.
Yes.
Like we have free will to make moral choices.
Like
whether
it's
good or bad.
like, do I want to read this book today or this today?
Yeah.
Do I want to watch this on TV or do I want to watch that? We have free will for that. We don't have free will in do I want to do good or evil, or can I do anything to contribute to my own salvation, kind of.
Yes. No, that's good, man. I like the Lutheran
Yeah.
stuff. All right, so we can get into theology, but what about you?
The other book I want to recommend real quick, because I as far as reading schedules go, I also do a lot of books on tape.
Yeah, of course.
And because I have a long
Is that what they call it now? I think it's called audio
books. Yeah, they used to call it.
They used to call it books on tape. Yeah.
But I've been listening to Augustine's City of God, which is this massive work. It's like
a tome.
It's like 1,200 pages. It's like something like 46 hours on audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just been listening to it for like 3 months. But it is one of the most fascinating books I've ever read. It's just, I recommend listening to it on audiobook. It takes a long time to get through. It goes through like the history of the Roman Empire. It goes through biblical history. It goes through what parts of Platonic philosophy coincide with Christian philosophy and which don't. It goes through all the passages in the Old Testament that prophesy Christ. It goes through.
What is this called?
It's called Augustine's City of God.
And you recommend it audiobook style because if it's hard to listen to, it's going to be even harder to read.
It's a long, tough. I would say it's interesting. It's like Travis said, it's boring, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
But this one's really fascinating.
Does it make you think about the Roman?
It's a tough book to get through.
So
and it helps you
the-
think about the Roman Empire.
Roman
a
Empire?
lot, yeah.
So it's a fantasy adventure where he.
Yeah.
There's a lot of magic spells and dragons.
Okay,
in
cool.
it.
That sounds awesome. I'm in.
How about you, Travis? What are you reading?
I've been reading the
Bond.
Yes,
James Bond.
James Bond. I have not been
Junior.
reading James Bond books because I guess one of the new books coming out is called On His Majesty's Secret Service, and because there's a king now, but he just like hates Trump. Like James Bond goes on a whole rant about Trump and everything. It's kind of out of place. Why does this British spy care that much about Trump?
Right, yeah.
About a man who's not even president anymore.
That's really weird.
I'd like to hear that.
It's awkward.
Well,
Yeah,
Steele was a British spy who cared a lot about Trump, and he made up a bunch of
maybe-
lies about him.
That's
yeah.
true. And Steele Dossier was a detective that a trans woman came in, and that was yeah.
Right.
That Adam played the trans person in.
Yeah, but I've been reading Lord of the Rings again because I've been reading it to my kids a little bit.
Oh, cool.
My youngest checks out. She's like, "Please stop reading this," and my oldest is like, "Oh yeah, Daddy, read Lord of the Rings or whatever." So it's been nice. For my personal reading, I ping pong back across different books. So I'm reading 1,000 different books and not getting through any of them because Plato's not the new Knights of the New Republic. It's a Star Wars book, and
Plato's Knights of the New Republic.
yes, and I'm reading a second Mistborn book in
yeah.
the Brandon Sanderson series, and
That's a great one. The second one's good.
yeah, and then I'm reading some lame self-help book that my wife's like, please read this.
What is
this
it?
will be
What is
good
it?
for you. It's called The Soundtracks.
Oh.
So it's about
Sounds terrible.
changing the soundtracks in your mind.
I
So you
like
can be
self-help
positive.
books. I think there's something to them.
Well, there's something to this book
It's
too.
like practical personal development is a totally underrated topic. Like there's a debate in the conservative
Yeah.
space. Apparently, it's like self-help and personal development is like giving up on like the move. I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We have to sharpen our swords. We have to. There are life skills that aren't taught in school. There's a lot of great. There's
Wait,
a
I
lot of
don't
things
understand. What don't they like about self-help movement?
that it's if you're working on yourself instead of like grabbing your weapons and going in the street. I don't know.
I haven't met these
like
people.
like being an anarchist is
I-
better than like working on yourself and skills like to deal with life
Oh,
and stuff.
I hadn't heard that. Yeah, 'Cause
I don't
feel
know if
like
I'm
a
getting
lot-
that right, but I heard that. I was like, that's so wrong.
Well, my problem with self-help books is that they're boring and not interesting. So it's like, oh, I have to.
You're
It's
not
like,
reading the right one.
it's like
Some of
eating
them are
vegetables.
interesting.
It's like eating vegetables. I'm like, oh, okay.
Some are interesting.
Now, so the book I'm reading is actually it's been helpful. It's pretty interesting because I'm going through my NDA brain injuries and stuff. But in general, most of the time I'm like, should I spend time reading a self-help book or just read the Bible more? So,
I know what you mean.
I feel
Yeah,
the same way.
I think that is like a really good self-help book, the
Yeah.
Bible. I think, but there's some things that are there's nuance, and I think that sometimes some authors can share some things that are said in a way that opens up your brain a little
Sure,
bit more.
sure.
You're like, oh, I didn't
Right.
think of it that way. That's helpful for me,
I've read some really good self-help books.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there was one called The Power of Habit
Power of
that I
Now.
read.
Oh, the Power of
So
Now
by
as well.
Duhigg. I don't know if you guys remember this book, but it was by Duhigg. It was very, very helpful.
Atomic Habits is one of the best
Atomic
books I've
Habits.
ever
Yeah.
read.
Was that Duhigg too?
No,
I haven't read
that's
Atomic
No.
Habits, but I've heard good things.
James
about it.
Clear.
How to
I
Quit
even
Smoking.
think like Jordan Peterson's books, like the 12 Rules books and 12 More Rules, they're kind of self-help books. They're very
I haven't read
popular
that.
on the right.
Is that more of like a? This is a dumb question. Is that more of like a masculine type
It's
thing?
definitely more masculine oriented, but I would say men and women can
Okay.
both benefit from it. And I my experience was I like them both. I actually found 12 More Rules to be a little more of a mature, like 12 rules.
knew the first
12
12,
rules.
you know?
It's not that you can't benefit from them, but 12 Rules seems like it's speaking to sort of young men as they're developing into
basic.
adults. 12 More Rules seems a little more
Cool.
Mature substance. Yeah. Oh, and our friend Kalani Vale wrote that book,
That's
Return
right.
on Life, which I read recently.
Kalani
also.
Vale.
Oh, how was
Check
it?
that
It's
one
good.
out.
It's a good book. Yeah. So
Cool.
check out his book, Kalani Vale, Return on Life.
ROL.
It's about looking at your life as like an investment. It's a really interesting strategy.
When he was explaining it when he was here, that was
Yeah.
like I liked his whole philosophy because he's a finance guy. So that's another thing. Some people like think that way,
Yeah.
more financial, and just each moment of your life is a coin in a jar of a
That's a good
different
point.
fund.
Yeah, I did like that. Well, listen, speaking of awesome things, because of my transition. Yeah,
Normal segue here.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about some of the recent stuff we're doing. So we are still making sketches. I know we slowed down some of our production. So we're making a lot of sketches, though. In the last few weeks, we've made some sketches that I'm very excited about. It's going to be really cool.
It's been a blast making these.
oh my
we have
gosh.
some coming out soon.
I loved the
Yeah.
woke Shark Tank video, and I
yeah.
saw I was
So good.
loving that one. I thought,
Yeah.
man, Emma is amazing at that
when she was
yelling,
yelling.
angry character. I was really happy to see
Travis
that.
killed
and
it
poor,
as Hank
poor
and
Travis.
Frank. And
He
Frank.
plays Hank in every video, getting yelled at by everybody.
That was difficult to get through without
Laughing.
Because
Yelling had to be
Yes.
at a level 11, and I kept asking them to bring more. And it's so hard not to laugh when they're just
Oh, it was
laying
crazy.
into you.
I was
My
really
voice-
impressed.
My voice was gone by the
Oh,
end.
yeah,
I was
You noticed
impressed
it.
by Emma's ability to be so angry.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I could have
She's
pulled that
pending
off.
that up every day. That
Yeah,
was her release.
she doesn't
you know,
speak
when we
much,
ask
but
her
when she
stupid
does, it's just at
questions
that
and, yeah.
volume level.
I
Quite
always sort of
impressive.
expected she would be sort of under the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also shot our first Western, which was awesome.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness! I'm so excited for
Adam,
that.
to come
Adam,
out,
can
yeah.
you tell just a little bit about Malarkey, which is going to be our sketch? 'Cause
So
you wrote it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. Biden, he keeps referencing this "You're a Lying Dog-Faced Pony Soldier" movie, and we may have finally found that movie.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh, the
And
clips
then we also
look
shot
amazing.
a library-based sketch with a woke librarian.
Oh, I'm excited about
that'll
that one,
be coming
too.
Out soon too. Yeah.
Yeah, the woke librarian is going to be really good. I got to play a gunslinger, which it's kind of a dream come true in the
Oh
West.
yeah, all the
Western.
characters in the Western were awesome.
We had Gianna Simone is in it. She's an actress
in the
that's been
Western.
Yeah,
she's
Siaka
been in-
is in it.
Yeah, Siaka's in it, and then we have a new actor that we haven't worked with yet, but he's great. Jeff Otochowski.
Oh, he killed it. Yeah.
plays our main character, and he did such a good job.
And
yeah.
do we have a special guest in this Western?
We do.
You'll have
I don't
to-
want to.
you'll
You're gonna
have
have
to
to
tune in
watch
to
it.
find
Come on, they'll totally
Somebody
watch it if you tell
famous.
them.
We'll tease
When's
it
it
again. We'll tease it
Somebody
again. before that.
famous
Okay.
with. He's got.
Somebody
he's,
famous.
Somebody we've been wanting to collaborate with for a while, and is a very good fit
Yeah.
for both
Yes.
of our brands.
Yeah, I love
Very,
it. It's
very
gonna be great.
satirical and funny person.
That's right, Harrison Ford.
Yeah, for
now
that
should
one
we-
too.
No, go ahead. I was ready to move on.
I was gonna move on too.
Okay.
You want to? Yeah, you go
Let's
ahead.
move on
yeah,
together.
Let's move on to
Let's
news.
check out what's going on in the news.
news.
Lots of positive, fun stories in the news.
Yeah.
Look at them finishing each other's sentences.
Oh,
They've
it's
really come a
romantic.
long way. A long way.
I can't believe this story is happening in America, is what the teleprompter says, even though stuff like this is happening more and more in America. In Oregon State officials are stopping a Christian mother, Jessica Bates, from adopting children in need just because of her religious beliefs. This is blatant discrimination, and I'm so glad that my friends at Alliance Defending Freedom are standing up to stop it. But they need your help, meaning money. Join with ADF and be a champion for freedom. ADF is on the front lines defending clients like Jessica in court free of charge when their First Amendment freedoms and God-given rights are violated. And remember, they can't do it without your help. Just $19 a month, or more if you're not cheap, will help fuel the fight to protect our freedoms and people like Jessica. Visit joinadf.com/B and pledge your monthly gift of $19, or more, give them a little bit more, to ADF. That's just 63 cents a day to help defend Jessica and everyday Americans against government overreach. Go to joinadf.com/B and stand up for freedom with your gift today.
What's in the news this week?
I don't know who this guy is, so someone else can read
I
this
do.
one.
So Derek Webb he was in Caedmon's Call. It's a Christian band from the 90s, early 2000s, and he wrote some really interesting music back then. He was actually a really good. He was one of the Christian artists that was really an artist.
He's
Like,
a
he was
Christian
writing-
artist?
Yeah. So he was like pretty influential. And then he came out with a song.
Is he still consider himself to be a Christian?
So
I think we're gonna get to
oh,
that.
sorry.
So yeah. So anyway, that's kind of his history. If you don't know Derek Webb, Caedmon's Call, he came out with a song that was kind of edgy, like back in the early 2000s, called Wedding Dress, where he used some curse words and stuff, but it was a Christian song. So it was like really
I love
good.
music with curse words.
Yeah, I know, everyone. So does he. But recently he went to the 54th annual Dove Awards in a dress. And he actually
what are the
had
Dove Awards?
the Dove Awards are the Christian Music Awards every year.
So which one is he in this picture?
So he's the one in the front, and he
On the right.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
okay.
The black and white polka dots.
he's got the polka dots on, and basically he made a video recently that basically came out as a pro LGBTQ, pro trans, and he's now considered a progressive Christian because he's left scriptural integrity behind. Just like Andy Stanley, he's left scriptural integrity behind and theology for the sake of what he sees as a more loving approach.
Okay.
So
He's not a Christian anymore.
Essentially, he's left the truth
I
behind.
think that's loving.
He's more loving than God is, I think is what he's saying.
I
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Now, does he himself identify as gay or trans? Like he's dressed as a woman there?
I mean,
or is he just
solidarity.
doing that to show support? Or
I don't know.
something?
It's hard to know. Like with these
Yeah.
guys, I mean, like when Rob Bell came out, it's like, he might
It kind of
just
looks
be
like
gay. Like I don't know.
It looks like he's shrugging, like I don't know why.
They
I
got
dress.
me.
They got
He's
yeah.
like,
got
look
me.
at me.
If you can't be him, join him.
Yeah.
it's a dress.
That is exactly the vibe.
Yeah,
If you can't
it's
beat him,
like,
join him. And I was
I'm
looking,
all in.
I was listening to the Elisa Childers interview, and she was talking about the artists that once you're in the machine, they keep getting purchased by these bigger companies, and it's all motivated by money and what's going to chart and what's going to trend, and not about like Christian integrity. I thought that was really interesting, and I think that is the challenge of entertainment and media in general. It's all about what's going to get the most clicks. Oh, that's coming out next week. That's
So,
going to come
yeah.
out next week. So check that out because she goes in on this topic, and it's really challenging. You really have to be willing to say no to money and so many earthly temptations to keep your integrity intact. And it looks like this guy did not do that.
Tune into the Elisa Childers podcast because that was a great conversation. We had a lot of fun, and in fact, it was so organic, and she was such a pleasure to have on. So there's that. What do you guys think of this whole thing? You think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, I think it's obviously a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing, Jarret.
These guys wearing
Pushing
dresses.
this gender, the gender stuff. It's been insane from the start, and it just gets more and more insane. It's like what can you say about it that we haven't said already?
Exactly.
But Adam, is it good or bad?
We keep repeating ourselves,
Really?
but I also think that we kind of take the bait so easily. Oh man, in a dress, like the whole Harry Styles thing. Everyone took the bait.
Well,
Everyone takes
Adam
the
did
bait.
that.
It's just
Here's what's interesting about the Harry Styles thing. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't say that any of them are good or bad, are good. But where I think it's bad is when it's actually trying to confuse people about their gender. The Harry Styles thing, it
it's
seems
just
like
artistic.
Exactly, and it seems like for years, like even if you look at like glam rock and hair metal, there was
Yeah, like
this,
David
there was always
Bowie.
there's always this idea of like to be a weird eccentric
break
artist, you
rules,
sort
break
of
rules.
play with gender roles and stuff. Where I think it, and I get, because of, the commands in the Bible, like don't dress like the opposite sex. I get where you can say that that's bad. But I think where it became a real problem for the culture is when it became, this actually makes you the opposite sex. Or this actually changes something about your identity. The Harry Styles thing, it's like, I think like, it's weird, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like when people are just doing it to be a weird artist, I don't really care about it that much.
And this guy
I
who
care
cl-
about it when it's like, this is this sort of indoctrination of this gender ideology that's actually trying to change what people think about men and women and sexuality and relationships.
I agree with you, and I think this guy, where he's still claiming to identify as a Christian, is very confusing to me because I don't think it's loving to mutilate yourself.
Yeah.
And there are so many detransitioners coming out saying, my surgery was botched. I'm in pain. No one's helping me. I'm being silenced by the trans community. It's horrible. That's not loving. That's not loving at all. And that really concerns me that those voices are being suppressed because of this agenda to just totally mess up everybody's I'm perception
sure
of reality.
Yeah, it's true. If you go online and do a quick search of detransitioners, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's
awful.
very, very sad. But I think Derek is probably not actually coming out as any kind of LGBTQ. I think he's identifying. The way that he sees it probably is that he is identifying with the lowest of the low or the most marginalized, and he's trying to be
Or a trending topic.
He's trying to be the most, and who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe
make
it's-
money and
maybe it's more narcissistic than that. But I would imagine that it's probably a misunderstanding of what our role is as Christians in the church and what God actually cares about. So that's what I would say.
Is he promoting something right now? That could be another thing.
Yeah, he's got new songs. And that's in particular. There's one about that. So
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I have another question. What do they do at the Dove Awards? Do
They
they
give-
just rank soap?
that's a good joke.
I like
Is
that.
it a
I
joke?
don't
It
was
know
a
what-
genuine
I don't know.
I wanna know.
I don't know what.
No, the Dove
Awards
Awards is like the Grammys for Christians.
Yeah.
It's for the artists that don't get Grammys.
like on South Park where they go
Yeah.
gold, frankincense, and myrrh instead
Yes.
of gold, platinum. Faith plus one.
Yeah, when he
pretty
becomes
funny.
a Christian music artist. No, it's true. The Dove Awards are that. It's kind of just an award ceremony that it's like the Movie Guide Awards for Christians. Like anyway. So if you know about that, that's another thing. So very similar. The industry, the creative industry, and the Christian industry has to have their own award ceremony as well, and we have to celebrate ourselves. But I noticed that the Babylon Bee never gets nominated for any of that stuff.
Well, we don't have a. That's not true. We had our own award show.
Oh, that's true. But we did. I guess the Babylon Bee.
We won a lot of awards at the Babylon Bee Awards.
We won best satire site.
This is a complete tangent, so I won't spend too much time on it. But it reminded me of this. I looked up. So there's the Webby Awards. There's like awards for online
YouTubers,
content.
yeah.
And YouTubers. And I looked into submitting either some of the Babylon Bee stuff or something, and they have like explicit rules, like the no hate speech content stuff. And I looked at their past winners. It's like 90% pro-trans videos.
Whoa.
And what's interesting about it is it's supposed to be like this awards thing like the Emmys or the Oscars of web-based content, but it's almost all political agenda-driven stuff. And I looked up some of the winners. There's videos that have like 1.5K views. There's videos that
No
are
way.
like from channels that have like 300 subscribers.
No way.
And it's now there are
it's
there
just
is also
fake.
stuff that comes from like like Jimmy Fallon's platform and stuff like that. There is bigger stuff on there, but a lot of it's just they first exclude everyone. No matter how successful or good our stuff is, we wouldn't have a chance on something like that, even though we have this successful web
That's
platform.
crazy.
And it's just because it's all indoctrinated with this politics. It's infused with it.
When
yeah.
the Daily Wire does their own awards ceremony for all their movies, maybe we'll be able to get in there.
Yeah.
When they get the conservative Razzie for Snow White.
Oh my goodness. By the way, watch the trailers and watch our Rings of Power sketch, and you tell us which squirrel is
Who has the better-
which
Wait,
animated
they did an
squirrel-
animated squirrel?
There's an animated squirrel.
Oh, they totally are digging at us, right?
Is it animated or is it real footage?
It's
I
fully
just
an
watched it
animated
once.
squirrel.
I
Oh,
didn't
come
even
on.
pay attention that closely.
It's the worst animated.
Wow.
Way worse.
Daily
I mean, it's
Wire. Really?
definitely not
Really?
strutting like he owns the place.
Plagiarizing our
No,
animated
let's
squirrel
not make
content?
fun of Daily Wire Snow White. They've complained for years that Hollywood has no original ideas, so now they're rebooting Snow White for the 4th time.
Hey, they're doing it.
with an animated squirrel.
They're doing it. They're making
I can't
stuff.
tell if it's supposed to be funny
No, I
or
think
if it's a
kids-
serious
I think
thing
it's a serious
or
like kids movie. It's
it
Snow
looks like
White.
something you'd put out on April Fool's Day. Like we're making this. No,
I
gotcha.
think they're
we're not.
doing it in place of the Snow White that's probably just going to be really bad. And I think it's they're really good at this marketing thing. They're really good at the timing. I
They are
think
good at
it's
marketing.
pretty.
Well,
It's pretty confident to be like, all right, Disney, I'm gonna put.
Yeah.
I'm going on the chessboard now.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see how it is. I'm excited to see it.
Well, I think the idea is that you have Disney's Snow White coming out, and then they're thinking, well, hey, Disney doesn't support you. Here's our Snow White. And they're giving it to you right then at the same time.
If you woke reboot our movie, we're gonna non-woke your woke reboot.
Right.
And then we'll see who's
Then who's gonna
laughing.
woke?
We own
Okay,
you.
there's a sketch in here somewhere. We could work this out. All right, let's move on. Next thing, that's kind of a
That'd be
sad
like
story.
remaking The Walking Dead without zombies. Make no sense at all.
I think people are just so
I mean-
tired of the political stuff, though. I think like what we're really starting to discover in our space is
That's going to be a great show, by the
No,
way.
I think it will.
It's actually really.
People don't
I'm
wanna
not
hear
making fun of the
about
show. I'm
politics.
making fun of the way you
People
describe
just
it.
want entertainment. No one's listening to people. You're listening to me. We need to just make entertainment for entertainment's sake, and people are exhausted of the politics. So that's one thing that's good about this.
Yeah.
It's just a show that has nothing to do with politics. Thank God. We're exhausted.
Unlike
We
this,
wanna watch-
unlike
we wanna
this,
watch a family movie.
Yeah.
unlike
Great.
this show, That does have to do with politics. So hey, Israel.
Right.
Let's go. Let's talk about
Speaking
something
of
else.
politics,
Speaking of sad
let's go
politics
right back into
stories.
politics.
No, so we know everyone knows what's going on in Israel right now. Hamas
Tragic,
attacking
yeah.
over the weekend.
Wait,
and
what's
there's been
happening
a
in
lot that's
Israel?
going on in Israel over the weekend. Anyway, so there was this big story yesterday, and I guess this is going to place us in a particular time, but it was going around that Israel
That time,
had
1976.
that they had bombed a hospital.
And this report was everywhere.
Everywhere.
It was
Like
headlines,
immediately.
Israel bombed a hospital in Gaza, 500 people dead.
Yeah, and
in
it was
the hospital.
like directly from the Palestinian leadership. Israel did this. They're evil. They bombed a bunch of kids in a hospital. But it turns out it was a Hamas bomb that went errant and bombed a parking lot and really didn't kill that many people. So
They've updated this. It was there's that funny graphic from the New York Times where it was like Israel bombs hospital, Palestine blames Israel for bombing hospital, explosion at hospital.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what happens at the hospital. Basically.
right. No, it's interesting how immediately the kind of liberal outlets, I think this is the story, is that the liberal outlets sort of jumped on this idea that Israel is now, they are now war criminals. They are now the aggressors.
After this brutal terror attack by Hamas on Israel, they've been, there's a certain faction in the media and the government that's been trying to find a way to blame Israel and portray them as the bad guys, which is just horrible in this situation. Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys have all seen BLM out of Chicago that did the Palestine. We Stand with Palestine with the parachuter coming down. And I'm sure you guys have all seen
Harvard protesters.
Harvard protesters, which Harvard's losing money now. People are pulling their support from Harvard. So there's a lot going on right now. People that are standing with these people that have murdered, raped, and beheaded babies and things like that. So anyway, so this is just another example of the liberal media sort of jumping on.
It is so hard in these situations, though, to even find the accurate information. That's
Yeah.
what's frustrating. Is you always want to be on the side of good, but with these these situations, there's so many agenda-driven people on both sides that it's hard to pause and be like, I'm just going to wait and see what the facts are before.
Yeah, it's difficult too because it used to be, I want to watch the news and be informed, and you can't really do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went on Al Jazeera right before this, and they're still reporting that Israel bombed. Like, there's no source material, but they're like, yeah, there was a missile coming from the sky, and we all got out of there, and all these kids are dead, and the hospital's gone, and they're still reporting that as of this morning, even though the news has changed on that. So it's
Yeah, so right now we at least have photos to go by. There's a photo of the parking lot and it's damaged, and you can see it. Oh, okay, it was just this parking lot.
turns out it.
But
it
someday
destroyed a Civic.
that's going to be a problem too.
Yeah.
We can root out AI pictures pretty quick, but it's a time's coming when that's going to be very difficult.
they're-
And they say we're in the information age, but I think that we have information war. It's how fast can we get the liberal news media or this news media outlet to say what gets to them first. And I don't know, it's really crazy. And I have only been receiving this news through Instagram and like hearing people talk. I think in the airport I heard some guy say when stuff like this happens, it sounded like he was conservative, honestly. He said, I do tune into CNN because they have a lot of people on the ground there. I thought that was really interesting. I don't watch Fox or CNN. I don't watch any. I don't have cable, guys. So I guess I don't know where you're going to get the most accurate on the ground information. But I totally agree with you. I think that there's so much, I'm seeing a lot of people say I stand with Israel. This is, this is an attack on the Jewish people. And then I'm also seeing some people that I follow that are calling this a Palestinian genocide. I was like, wait a second. Now I really don't know what's going on. So it's a lot of conflict and
I mean,
war.
it's always tragic when civilians or innocent people are killed on either side in a war, but there's just no equivalence between what Hamas did in this just disgusting terror attack, and then Israel has to retaliate. And they are in large part, prior to this, they were issuing work visas for people from Gaza to come work in Israel, and then that was exploited in this terrorist attack. Then, they're warning Palestinian civilians to flee. There's reports that Hamas is blocking that because they want them there to be used as collateral and human shields, and it's just...
It's
good for their news.
Yeah.
War is bad.
But what you were saying also, I actually watch both Fox and CNN. It's like I try to look at them both, and then
nice.
hopefully you can, discern from yourself by, researching
so
the
you
articles.
can sniff out the spin, the liberal.
I try
spin.
to. I like to think that I can, but it's hard because they're both agenda driven to some degree. But I think if you're looking at any one of them, look at the other one too. And then ultimately, I always say the best place to get your news is overhearing it from a guy at the airport.
Totally.
So so it's interesting because I've obviously been on the Israel side 100%, and I will be. But I talked to a friend of mine at jiu-jitsu last night that's Muslim, and he was saying, he was just like complaining about Israel, and he's going off and all this stuff. So he's getting his information from someone else.
Wait, if he's Muslim, how does he do jiu-jitsu?
I think we're over time.
Do you get it, Jarret?
Way to keep that.
Adam is so good at not laughing at his own jokes. That's like a skill.
Well, they're not that funny.
Well,
I thought that one was pretty good.
I like those dad jokes.
There are some T-shirts. If you go to Jerusalem, they have T-shirts with an Hasidic Jew.
Yeah, I've seen those.
That's
where I stole that joke
jiu-jitsu.
from.
Yeah.
I think this is a pretty complex issue, and my fiance James is like very plugged into this stuff, and he's aware of he's like it's a very complex situation. And he also said, I don't understand what stand with means. Like, people are saying, you must stand with Israel. You must stand. It's like, well, I'm just a person. I don't know anything about this conflict. Now I got to this sounds so ignorant, but truly, we are so separated from the issue. Not to mention, there's so much coverage of all these horrible things happening in our world because of social media and the internet and the iPhone access that we have that we're becoming desensitized to these horrible things that are happening. And I don't think that it's interesting that there's this pressure for everyone to speak up and post their allegiance to a side, pick a side, and it's just I think that a lot of people feel it's okay to take a step back and learn the facts before you speak on it. If you have nothing, if you're not Jewish, if you're not Palestinian, if you have no idea what this, how long has the conflict been around? Anyway, take it away, Travis.
You kind of touched on an interesting point though, with this idea that we have to pick a side, and we're seeing protests on both sides, across America, like pro-Israel rallies and pro-Palestine rallies, and part of me is just it doesn't accomplish anything. Why are we wasting all this time doing these rallies?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Speak up on social media, because that's going to change what happens over there on the ground. I don't know if it will. I mean, I don't know. What could we do?
Yeah.
What actions can we actually take to help this situation?
If we're talking about the war between Hamas and Israel, there's a clear moral there's a clear moral right and wrong here. If we're talking about the war between Israelis and Palestinians, there's a lot of human elements in there. And I think, but Hamas is obviously an evil regime that's stated purpose is to destroy Jews. Yeah. So, we can, confidently stand and say, that's wrong.
Well,
we can't, the stuff you guys did over the weekend needs to be responded to. And there's going to be a war. There has to be stuff that has to happen in order for Israel to exist, because the enemies around Israel are going to take opportunity. So, I don't know. We just need to pray for those people over there. And I think it's important to be informed, but to also realize who's in charge, that God's still sovereign, that he knows, he still loves those people, and he's still doing his work. And so we need to pray for them.
And that's a good reminder to pray for a good resolution to the conflict, and also to pray for our leaders, because it's easy to dunk on Biden and be like, man, Biden's the worst, but I pray that he handles this as well as he possibly can.
I pray for all the politicians you disagree with. It's you want them to be granted wisdom and the just and the according to God's will to resolve these things in the best way for everybody.
I got to be honest. Watching Biden say things that are true has been the first time this entire time he's been in office that I've been like, he's saying things that are true.
Yeah, I like the part where he says, I don't know, I'm just kind of Trump, so I'm going to get into it.
That was my favorite part.
No, but I would say, he is saying things like, this is a terrible terrorist attack. He's calling it what it is. Usually they would shy away from those words, and they're not doing that this time, which, I'm sure there's elements within the government that would love to do that, but they're not. They're standing with Israel, so...
and along those lines, we got to pray that Will and Jada Pinkett Smith work things out. Also,
we got
really messed up.
Those
reconciled,
really messed up, strange, and there's no moral equivalency between what.
Or just pray
I
that
really
she
thought
stops
those crazy kids were going to make it.
Well, that too.
I'm so sick of hearing about this.
And now it's time for the Babylon Bees Bible verse of the week. Amen.
Mark chapter 4, verses 10 through 12. So that's actually a couple verses, not one verse.
Verses of the week.
Yeah, verses of the week. And when he was alone, those around him with the 12 asked him about the parables. And he said to them, "To you has been given the secret of the kingdom of God, but for those outside, everything is in parables, so that they may indeed see but not perceive, and may indeed hear but not understand, lest they should turn and be forgiven." This has been the Babylon Bees Bible verses of the week.
Would you guys like to exegete this passage at all?
Well, I know it's a reference to an Old Testament passage, but I can't remember which one. That's my exegesis.
Well
Nailed it.
done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
It does seem like Jesus is trying to prevent certain people from understanding what he's saying so that they
I don't know if
will
I'd
not
go
be saved.
that far.
He said, so that they may indeed see but not perceive, and indeed hear but not understand, lest they should turn and be forgiven. Maybe he's using...
Well, I don't want to be completely misrepresenting what I'm trying to say, but there are other translations which make the language sound a little different, and I can't quite remember which one's correct.
We should bring those translations
Yeah,
up.
I feel like we need to get like 5 different translations in here and really
I was
hammer
interpreting
it
it different. I was interpreting it as see but not perceive. You know how we were talking earlier about how some people are taking the words literally and some not. I think it's kind of, I don't know. Don't be so. I can't really think of the words, but I'm reading it as just
So,
like think about how God would want you to think about this, not how you would think about it. That's kind of how I'm hearing it.
Yeah, well, see, the thing is, though, that the parables are actually a way of perfectly illustrating the stories. So, they actually help us learn and understand. So I understand that argument, but since they actually do have everything they need to learn and hear it, it's kind of, I don't know. It's like they're standing in their own way.
it does seem like Jesus, though, over and over says, they don't see it, but you will. I'll explain it to you, but I'm not going to explain it to them. I don't want them to understand it.
Yeah, but
I
those
really
same
don't.
people could have come to Jesus and been like, "Hey, can you explain this to me?" But
They
instead,
could
they're
have.
like, "Ah."
They could have. They absolutely
What
could
do you
have,
think,
but they didn't.
I mean, I agree most of what Travis, I would say, is saying. I think there's an element of what you're saying. I think what's hard about that, I think we should all be aware of, not perceiving or misinterpreting Scripture. But this is specifically referencing the sort of believers and non-believers, or in a Calvinist sense, the elect and the
elect.
reprobate.
Yeah.
And the reprobate.
But
the regenerate and the
But
unregenerate.
so it's interesting when there's passages like that where it's like lest they should turn and be forgiven, almost like there's this preventative, like we don't want them to turn and be forgiven, or there's passages in the New Testament where it says God will hand them over to their sin, or there's the famous passage
like
in the
Romans 1.
or there's the famous passage in the Old Testament where it's like he hardens Pharaoh's heart, and it's like he's making Pharaoh do these bad things. One of the books I read recently was Maimonides. He's a Jewish philosopher, and there is an interesting interpretation that we have free will, but God can turn God has the power to usurp our free will and use us according to His will at any moment, and that these things, when it's saying you no longer have that, it's because judgment has already been passed. It's not that you never had the opportunity to have faith and understand or come to God. It's that once the judgment has passed, once you've made that bad decision, then these bad things, now you're out of understanding forever. Now you're going to, continue in your sin, basically. Yeah. But it's because judgment has already been passed. It's not that you didn't have the opportunity to come to faith.
Well, and Jesus could potentially be saying just that, where he's saying, well, they didn't do this, but if they did, they'd be forgiven.
Yeah.
So that's, what I'm saying? He just might be saying that. He's not saying that he's trying to prevent them necessarily, but he is planting a seed for people that are curious and have hearts to learn. And if those people seek him, they will find him. If they don't seek him, they will not find him, and they will not be forgiven.
And we'll get plenty of paragraph-long comments below explaining how we're all wrong, and we missed it, and this is what it really
That's
means.
what I'm
and
hoping
you guys are
for.
Dumb, and you shouldn't have said this.
I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Do you even exegete? I have my T-shirt. Do you even exegete, bro? That's what I want. Do you even exegete, bro?
I like that.
I know it's
That's
great.
a really good merch idea.
It is. It's already a T-shirt.
Oh.
I know, but I think it would be great. Do you even exegete, bro? It's so good.
I like that.
Is that Is that it?
Is that it for today there, Dan?
That's it.
Thus ends the notes.
Thus ends the notes. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in.
Guys.
We want to make sure that you subscribe to the Babylon Bee. Make sure you go to the Babylon Bee website, babylonbee.com.
Get the new book that we just put out.
Yes, we just released
It's
a book on
super
gender.
funny. Makes a great Christmas gift. I'm getting one for my dad. He doesn't watch my podcast, so I'm.
I mean, it's great for all holidays. Halloween, International Day of Muslim Anger, whatever.
Yeah, the Day of Jihad.
The Day of Jihad.
I survived the Day of Jihad, and all I got was this lousy
Oh,
shirt.
what did you guys do for the Global Day of Jihad? Did you?
Survived.
Oh, cool.
What day was that?
That was last week at some point. I don't know. Maybe
But
it
I
was
think
Monday.
they called another one.
It was
this coming
October.
week.
Did they?
It's already.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
feels like it
I'm
was
lucky.
just International Day of Jihad, and now it's.
I know
here
it's
again.
it's already here again. Alien Omar must be so excited.
was.
Yeah, that's great. So so go check out, but go to our website for real. Become a subscriber. Stop being a parasite, and support us.
Oh my goodness.
Let's
we would
definitely
love to-
bully people
Support.
into.
We have some really cool things coming up, and we need your help to make them. Support.
You're gonna like it.
You're gonna like it.
Are you tired of woke? Are you tired of woke comedy? Well, join us and create unwoke comedy
Yeah.
with
Okay,
us.
unwoke. I have to say, Jarret, I don't like unwoke. I think it's anti-woke because unwoke sounds like it was woke and now it's no longer woke. But anti-woke is like we were never woke.
Asleep.
Nobody takes longer to end a podcast than Jarret and Chandler.
Hey, why are you throwing me in there? I'm pitching the Babylon Bee.